Welcome back. Y'all ready? There we go.
I'm ready now.
Okay.
Sorry.
When I coach women for interviews, there's one thing that I always tell them, and I read this in a study once, it's that you can't feel nervous and grateful at the same time. So I have them focus on being grateful, and then when they go in for interviews, they're themselves.
And you tell me that too, and it actually works. But you got to really concentrate on that gratitude. And our next guest used gratitude to get him through one of the darkest times of his life, and now he is telling his story. We are joined now by, I meant to ask you the pronunciation of your name, Vidal Cisneros.
That is correct.
Jr. Okay,
Beautiful.
there we go. He is one of the contributors to Chicken Soup for the Soul. Think Possible is the name of this book. I want to talk about the positive stuff and the gratitude stuff in just a second, but let's back up to this dark time in your life, because I think a lot of people have been there. They might be going through it now, and I think it will help to know the depths of despair that you got to. So you had this well-paying construction job, and you kind of decide you're going to do something else. And so you're in a business where you're mentoring people, right?
Yes, now I am.
And your former wife says what to you?
Oh, that's when she says something that no man, no married man wants to hear. So it was just, she was seeing somebody else, and then there was more, and we could go dive into that, you know, but I kind of want to focus on the power of gratitude.
Yeah.
Because as much as I spiraled down after that moment, that powerful, impacting moment when your wife says, you know, I'm seeing somebody else, and there's more, and then that spiraled me down into a path of depression, alcoholism, and incarceration. So.
Because you were in an accident, right? A car accident.
Right. I was plastered all over the news, and this is something I'm not proud of at all. So because of that situation, it led me to be in a cell, locked up, and that is where I read Chicken Soup for the Soul, and that's why this is such a culmination week for me.
Yeah.
So I'm so honored to be here. And reading the book there, the original, it's almost 20 years now, the original has come out and been out. I read that story, every single one of those stories, from front to back, several times. It inspired me, it gave me hope, and after that I began a transformation on upward. So a lot of the stuff that I was telling myself internally was, if the worst things possible can happen to somebody, then why not can the best things possible happen to me right now, today? Why not?
Good for you.
I love the cover of your book. You got to hold that up. This is the cutest idea, and I think it's so, it resonates with so many people, because a lot of times when we look in the mirror, we don't see that lion if we're a kitten. We see something worse, you know? We don't see ourselves in the most positive light, and so being able to think positive and see yourself as what you want to be, or who you hope to be or project, I think is something that we need to work on. How do you suggest people incorporate or use gratitude? Because I think in concept and in theory, people are like, yep, sounds great. But how do you really put it into motion in your life?
Great. I love this. So what I do with a lot of people, whether they're my friends, they're my mentors, or they're people that I'm coaching, I have them start this process. Write down 200 things. If that's too hard, at least 100 things that you're grateful for. So go back to the beginning of your life. And a lot of times we only focus on the big lifetime trophy achievements, like graduated, all those big things. I want them to focus on riding a bike. I learned how to ride a bike. I learned how to speak. I learned a couple languages. I learned how to walk. You know, all those little things that we don't pat ourselves on the back for that we should.
See, I think that's great. You said 200 things. A lot of people say, oh, write down 10 things you're grateful for. And people are like, okay, you know, they can do that. But I like that you say 200 things, because you have to go beyond those big moments. You have to think small. And sometimes it's the small things. Like, for example, if the sun's shining on a day, I'm always so grateful for that, because I love a sunny day. But it's focusing on those little things sometimes that gets us through a day that's tough.
Yes, absolutely, I agree.
Did it happen overnight for you, or was it a process?
It was definitely a process. But for myself, I needed to hire a successful mentor that coached me and taught me the personal development side before I dove into the business side. Because understanding and reprogramming the mindset is the most important thing, especially in this day and age where a lot of us are stuck on our phones. We don't focus enough on the internal, and that's where change happens. It happens internally, and then outwardly it happens. And people notice right away, once I started this process of visualizing what I wanted for my life first thing in the morning, and then focusing on all the trophies that I had done the day before, and then focusing on all the wins, I should say, the little wins that I'm going to focus on today. So whether it's I'm going to hold the door open for somebody else, the small things, whether it's I'm going to give somebody a compliment that they've never ever heard of before. So those little things, they gain momentum, and then in the grand scheme of things, people come back later and they're like, holy cow, you're like glowing, you're like oozing, like there's just pure joy and abundance and happiness. You know, what's going on with you? You look great. And those were the comments that I was getting after 2 months of doing this consistently, day after day.
I bet your daughters are proud of the man you've become.
Yes, yes. I'm so grateful for them. They're amazing. They're super smart, and I try to plant those little seeds in them as well. And sometimes they're like, yeah, Dad, I know what you're going to say. I already know.
It's good because those things don't leave you, though. You gotta grind them in a little bit.
Yes.
This is great. People can get a copy of your book. It's Think Possible, Chicken Noodle Soup for the Soul. Saturday, October 17th, tomorrow from 2 to 4 at Barnes & Noble. You'll be there with the book at Brookfield Square. People can get a copy there, meet you, learn a little bit more about your story, how gratitude got you through. And Vidal Cisneros Jr.com is the website for more information, or to get a copy there as well?
Yes.
Perfect.
No, you have a signing too, our producer told us, in Racine as well. Is that tomorrow or is that another time?
No, that's tomorrow from 10 to 11.
Okay, so
good.
in the morning, 10 to 11, you can meet him in Racine. Then in Brookfield, it's in the afternoon from 2 to 4.
Correct.
Got it.
Perfect.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much for sharing
Thank
your
you.
story.
Thank you.
Good for you.
Pleasure meeting both
It was
of you.
Appreciate it.
awesome. Thank you. Still ahead on the